think it's time for a history lesson in law enforcement. For people who have been rocking with me for a while now, you know that I love history. The history of before can explain the now. It can explain how we got to where we are. And law enforcement is no exception. The first public-funded law enforcement group was formed in the early 1700s. For example, the one in South Carolina was formed in 1704. The purpose of this public-funded law enforcement group was to recapture runaway enslaved people, terrorize enslaved communities to prevent an uprising, and maintain a slave-based economy. That was the reason law enforcement in the United States was created. And that super early agency was supported by law and has directly influenced the development of law enforcement and modern policing policies in the South today. In the North, the first modern urban police force was developed in Boston in 1838. New York developed their police force in 1845, followed by Chicago in 1855. The purpose of those police forces was to protect commerce and property, especially by the wealthy elites, control the growing immigrant population, as well as labor unrest, and maintain order in rapid industrializing and diversifying cities. So even in the North, where a lot of people claim, hey, the North didn't have slavery, so there's no way our law enforcement could be based off of racism, when they were created to control the immigrant populations. Yes, many of the immigrants that they were controlling at the time were immigrants that are now considered YT, but back then, people like the Irish and the Italians were not considered YT. And the police force was created to target that type of person. So now we get to today, where California Senator Alex Padilla went to an open press conference where DHS Secretary and puppy unaliver Kristi Noem was having a press conference in California. Senator Padilla went to ask a question, as is his First Amendment rights. He was immediately met with actual force, where the law enforcement there physically removed him from the room, and FBI agents forced him to the ground and handcuffed him. He said he was not arrested or detained. So why the handcuffs? It was a scare tactic. Law enforcement has been trained since the 1700s in terror. They have been trained and bred from their conception on how to terrorize communities, on how to sow fear, and how to control the immigrant and black populations. So if you're asking yourself why law enforcement has adapted so easily to this fascist regime, it's because this is what they were made for. This is what they were bred for. This is what they were created for. Law enforcement was never created to protect and serve. They were created to terrorize and maintain the status quo. Not the progressive status quo of tomorrow, but the status quo of the 17 and 1800s when they think America was great. When it became illegal for the KKK to terrorize black communities, where do you think those people went? Put your answers down in the comments.